recording.
Is everybody ready?
Ready.
All right, I'll call this meeting to order.
Okay, we'll stand in order of prayer. Our Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather tonight. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve you and to serve this community in Harrison Township. Guide our thoughts and our deeds and all that we do, Lord, that might be pleasing in your sight. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Everybody have a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I declare a quorum.
Mr. President, I would recommend that we move Mr. Fowler up to maybe one of our first presenters, so rather than kind of keep him here all evening. So take him out of new business and put him maybe even before we do the minutes and all that other stuff. Other than that, I don't know of any other change in the agenda.
Okay, we can move Mr. Fowler up to right before the approval of the minutes, okay? We have an approval of the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Vote by Nate saying aye. So carried. Okay.
And so with that, we're ready for Mr. Fowler. Let's go.
Mr. Fowler will be giving us a presentation on some needs the Friends of the Harrison County, or the Harrison, Friends of the Harrison County Youth property located in the YMCA. And Fowler.
Yes, my name is Eric Fowler. I'm current board president of the Friends of Harrison County Youth. This is coming up going to be my 15th season there on the board, serving the last 5 as the president. Made some drastic changes throughout my tenure there so far, looking to improve some other aspects. Very passionate about the youth in our community as a whole. Born and raised here, all my life, just been here serving, working for the town, so on and so forth, and giving back in the community. And this is the best way that I can see that I am able to do that. So currently we are the largest youth sports in our county as a whole. We serve currently over 1,600 participants in our group. That's baseball and softball. Easily double compared to the other youth programs that is in our county. With that comes some challenges with our facility as well. Just some dire need, some updating. One that I'd like to touch on first is the need for overhead nets around our clubhouse. Safety is our number one. Looking out for everyone, not just the participants on the field, but as well as everyone enjoying the game. Parents, grandparents, cousins, siblings as well. It's happened before. Injuries that has happened of occupants just watching the ball game. Foul balls are big ones. Signs are posted. We've done all of our duties in that aspect as far as being in compliance with our insurance companies, so on and so forth. Injuries have still happened. A lot of those are not really preventable, as far as foul balls coming up over, our backstops and, left to right field, so on and so forth. We had several years ago, we had one little girl that was walking off the field after her game get hit with a foul ball behind one of our other fields, fractured her skull. Again, not anything that anyone could have done any different. Of course, you got everyone yelling foul ball, heads up, so on and so forth. But with having overhead nets and protection in the netting, it could have been not 100%, nothing I don't believe out of ballpark is 100%, but could drastically reduce any injury, that aspect that we could oversee. I travel to several ballparks each summer. My children all play travel ball. I got one in college playing baseball as well. I take pictures, give ideas, present it to our boards. The challenges that it come is just the financial gain. We are a nonprofit 501c3, so it is very difficult for us to come up with these lump sums to be able to provide that. We try to have plans in place, a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, but then again, is the question, how many people are getting injured in this time frame? So we come to you asking for, some money, financials to help us do that. Our current bid that we have is a company based out of Georgia. But the reason why they were selected is because they do lots of work in our Kentuckiana area. Meade County, Clarksville, New Albany, Jeff. They just finished up over in St. Matthews with their baseball and soccer facility. They finished up Fern Creek High School, pretty much doing the exact same thing of what we're asking for. Very knowledgeable. The owner actually reached out to me and just let me know, touch base, kind of see how we were going. I let him know we had this meeting coming up as well. So he just said, just follow up with them. Very professional. I highlighted some of those areas. So if anyone would like to check out some of their work, they're very well known in what they do. The owner stays on site beginning to end. The process of this takes about a week, weather permitting, but let's just say weather's perfect. Pretty much he said like a Monday to Monday, they can pretty well be getting out. The quote that I got from him was roughly right at just $30,000. I thought that was very reasonable to an extent, because several years ago we had reached out, not to him, but the previous president reached out and he got a quote for, it was astronomical, and again, as a nonprofit, it just wasn't feasible. With that being said, one of the main, aside from the overhead nets, is our layout in the parking lot is split from the YMCA. We have no correlation with them. We are our own private ballpark. We are not affiliated with YMCA at all. We have a separate league that is called Challenge Ball, and that is for special needs. They have used our facility and had their program 20 plus years, always used ours. A couple years ago, we hosted Special Olympics where we had over 300 participants down there with special needs. Truly amazing if you all have not ever been a part of that or seen them play. It's amazing. A little bit of embarrassment because I can't provide the security for them as far as with their accommodations on getting to and from the field from the parking lot. The rocks, the gravel, makes it very hard for accessibility for them. They're just like us. They deserve everything that we deserve. It hurts me that, again, it's a little bit more difficult for them to get to and from the sport and the field that they love to play and participate in. So we're looking for roughly around $400,000 for asphalt work to make everything in compliance and accommodation. It goes above and beyond the special needs as far as wheelchairs, crutches, so on and so forth, a stroller. These things are very hard. We do have a little buggy down there, so when we see an elderly person, someone that's walking with a disability or having trouble, we try to give them a ride back and forth from the field that they're going to watch their loved one play back to their vehicle, just because it's so hard. And then again, we're trying to avoid any injuries or any claims as well, people falling or so on and so forth. We're trying to hold our own and do our own. I've extended the width, widen it with concrete as far as what we can do. So, you know, we are trying to be self-sufficient and do that. So we set little projects and goals that we can do that, and cleaning the rocks off of the concrete, just to make everything accessible. Those two things right there with the Challenge of Ball Special Olympics and with the overhead nets is our goal, to be able to update and again, be in compliance with our park as far as that. This is my vice president. This is Trent. He is heading up another area on which we are trying to upgrade and in compliance as well.
Yeah, my name is Trent Simpson. I moved to Corydon about 3 years ago and joined the board just a few months ago. And as Eric mentioned, I was recently voted as vice president. And I hope that speaks to my passion about the Friends of Harrison County youth, and very excited to come in and try to make improvements where I can and help out. And one of the needs that we identified was in our playground. If you're familiar with our playground, it's very small, typically rated for children age probably 2 to 4. And so I have 3 kids, one of them age 6, one of them age 3, and then I have a 7-month-old. And so they're younger kids, smaller kids, and they're trying to play on the playground with the older kids, the 12-year-old, 13-year-old kids that don't have another place to play. Typically, what we hear them asking from their parents, and I hear the same from my kids, they want to go across the parking lot to the YMCA playground, and obviously very dangerous for them to cross that parking lot. And you know, we have games going on, so we want them to be close, but you know, have fun. So we've looked into playground equipment rated for ages 6 to 14, and so we received a quote back for $70,000 to not only improve the surface of our playground. It's currently rock, so as Eric mentioned, trying to improve our facility for special needs requirements, wheelchair accessible, things like that. We want to improve the surface of our playground from rock to an AstroTurf surface, so that you know, obviously with the type of playground material that you see at the recent playground improvement at I apologize, the name's escaping me.
Hazelwood, yeah.
Hazelwood, yes, thank you. Apologize. I live right down the road from it. I should have that memorized. The playground material that you see at Hazelwood as the surface, we feel that cleats would tear that up. We would obviously want to post no cleat signs, but it'd be very difficult to uphold that, the kids coming in and out of the playground. So we feel an AstroTurf surface would be a good medium between cleat compliant, cleat friendly, as well as handicap friendly. So we could make those improvements with our playground to provide a safer and more fun environment for the kids.
One thing that I would like to just maybe close on this with is again, being born and raised here and so passionate about this. A lot of the business owners I know personally, friends with, help out, so on and so forth. So in a way, I look at this as it's almost recycled. So if we was able to get the funds or have the funds to update our facility and all this, a few things that we would need and like to do. One things that we've done in the past is, you know, tournaments, provide local all-star tournaments or tournaments for our league and so on and so forth. So what I proposed last time was we had over 40 plus teams sign up for our tournament. It was so big, we had to rent Lanesville's facility as well, just because we couldn't accommodate all the teams that we had, and I didn't want to turn anybody down because, again, we look at this as a dollar sign as well. To be able to pour this money back into the youth, but it goes further than that. It's giving the money back to the community as well. what I did was, I got with the owners of Cluckers and said, okay, well, we're gonna put a packet together for each individual team, that sign up for our tournament. So you sign up with us, I hand you the rules, so on and so forth, but also, okay, well, if you go meet at Cluckers, they'll give you a free appetizer to be able to pack these wonderful restaurants that we have here and just to give back to the community. Hampton Inn, again, if you book a hotel with us, we'll give you 10% off your stay. So it's really giving that money just right back to where it came from in this community. So that's my goal is, it's not like, I don't look at it as a hand me out or just a freebie. This money is coming right back in to the community to be able to pack this place because, again, I've been part of lots of big programs, organizations that host these tournaments. The money that these towns make in a weekend is unbelievable. If you want to put a dollar figure on there, it's crazy. And we have a gorgeous town here. It's beautiful. A lot of things that people can enjoy and come to. So it's giving the money right back, into this town. So I would like to stress that as well. That it's not stopping at us. It's again, I look at it, it's kind of recycled. It's coming right back into our community that it so much deserves. I think that's all we got. We appreciate your time and putting us on the agenda. Can we answer any questions, or is there anything that anybody has?
Go ahead.
Have you reached out to any of the other businesses or things in the community to get assistance in accumulating all the funds that's necessary to do the job?
We have to be careful on that because some of you may know, some of you may not, but so the local businesses that we have, when we have registration open at the beginning of each year, we have sponsorships. Okay, so those sponsorships, you got different varieties. You could do a sponsorship on the back of the team shirt. So your logo, your sponsor, your name, your information is on the back of that shirt. And we also have signs, that big metal signs that we place strategically throughout the field as well. So we, you got to kind of watch your P's and Q's on that because I don't want to double dip if you have a business and I come to you.
They're contributing toward with donations to each other.
Correct. And what we yes. And so if we have more, we ran into this. If we have more sponsorships where we have teams, that money doesn't go to waste. What I'll do is I'll come to you, Mr. Smith. Thank you for your $400 donation for your sponsorship. However you chose to do that. We may not have enough teams to cover your sponsorship if you have a logo on the back of the shirt. But what we do is we set this money aside because we have several participants in our league or in our community that can't afford to play. So we have like a scholarship fund as well. We don't turn any kids or families away from being able to play down there. So what we'll do is we use that funds aside to be able to pay for 6 kids or families to be able to come down and play at our park. So you got to kind of be careful. If I come to Mr. Smith and thank him for his donation of $400 for the sign or sponsorship, you got to watch, turn around and say, Mr. Smith, here's our project. Can we have another? We're asking for another $1,000 from your business, because a lot of them are like, well, I've already sponsored a team, so you just got to be careful circling back around and asking them for more. We try not to do that. But we
have
do.
You run a campaign or anything for it? You've got $500,000 project on here. Have you approached the foundation or?
We have not yet. We have not. This is our first stop here, and then we are in a process, and Trent's helped actually assist them with that as far as our grant process and seeing what do we need help with or what's left over that we're lacking on, and asking the foundation for some as well.
So we have talked to the foundation I talked to him on the playground project. And so one of the places that we first talked about was on the disability accessible front. And so that's where the conversation becomes, well, can someone with a disability reach the playground? And that was one of the things to talk about for the grant is accessibility for the playground. So we kind of.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of hints. number one, whatever you do not mention asphalt. And you pitched it dead on, is accessibility for special needs. They can do that. They can't do asphalt. And the safety net, I think that's right down their alley as well. So you've got a couple of good stories that I think they'd be right for.
And we do have, so I'm going to be attending the foundation training that they have coming up in August. And we have another board member that recently joined that has their board training. So we'll be going through that to make sure that we have all the qualifications to apply for it.
Trying to have our ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Is doing that as well. And like I said, the quote that we got back from the Nets is, roughly 30, right at 30, almost dead on 30,000, 29 some change, so.
Any thoughts of running a campaign, a capital campaign out of your organization?
We have not necessarily thought about that. One big fundraiser that we have in-house every year is what we call opening day, where we, which now we're having to purchase that, but when Tyson was here, they would donate us, some chicken. So we would do that. We go to the other local businesses, ask them to donate signs, so that way the majority of our stuff is donated. Opening day, we have pictures. All the participants that is at our program, they all play on the same day. We do it on a Saturday. Second Saturday of May. That's the date. So we do that. So that is one big fundraiser that we have, but it's just, it's one of those 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, because we have equipment that we have, yearly has to be updated. Nets already on the batting cages, other equipment. The dirt alone, the infield mix is pretty expensive.
I need to change your thinking here a minute.
Okay.
You've got 2 things really going on. You've got your maintenance issue going on, but you've also got capital needs that are totally out of this ballpark. Oh, did I say that? Yeah. And the capital needs, you have got, and I was glad to hear you're going to that training. You've got to hear, you've got to be comfortable in you going to Tony and saying, Tony, we've got some capital needs here, and I need $50,000 from your bank. And you need to be able to look him with a straight face and tell him that.
So you're like, that's like the overhead safety nets is kind of what
Yeah,
you're
and
saying.
all that other stuff. I mean, you're not into chicken when you're talking this kind of money.
Mhm.
And so you're gonna have to really up your ante. And this, that training is a great beginning. But I sat on several other boards, and when you're in the capital arena, it's a whole different thing than what you do day to day and year to year and that sort of thing. So just something to think about.
The good news, Tony, is if we was coming to you, we wouldn't ask for 50,000. The nets are only 30. So, if that makes you feel any better.
You have to be careful doing that,
Yeah.
because when you ask for 30, Tony's probably gonna say, oh, of course we'll give you that, because I was afraid you were gonna ask me for 75.
Sounds good.
Okay, any other questions?
On the playground, have you guys talked about putting any kind of fencing or anything like that? Was that?
So we did look at the quote that we talked about with the company. It's a company called Sunshade. They have a sister company that does playgrounds, and they provide high quality shading that goes over top of it. So that was another improvement we were going to get with this. The quote we had was kind of an improved barrier that we currently have. We did investigate fencing, but if there's a qualification that we could meet by doing that, we could certainly look to improve it to that.
I'm just curious, because I know there are a lot of kids with it being right on the park.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And some of the parks actually have that placed with completely enclosed, the netting, same material that they would use for the overhead nets. It's the exact same setup, same system.
That's certainly a great consideration, because I think, if you would, put the gate to that facing towards the ball fields, then you would prevent that risk of a kid taking off the parking lot. So I'll talk to them and get that updated, and see what that looks like. Appreciate the feedback.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Well, we will take this into consideration. Thank you so much for coming and presenting and making us aware of the needs that you have and some of the possibilities you got rolling around your head.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's move on to number 5, the approval of the 19 June 25 minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read over those minutes?
Good to me, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, motion's been made. Have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? None. So carried. Okay, we have a financial report.
All right. All right, let's, go back to page 3. Start off with, it says the Indiana Trust. That's where the majority of our funds are at. We started off the month at $647,663 in beginning balance. We had withdrawals of $40,000 that went into the checking account. And that was to help pay for the veterans, the remainder of the housing, and then to pay for the fairgrounds that we had approved. So those funds moved back to the checking account. We had earned income, we had earned $22.56.36 in interest for the month. Total interest earned for the year was $12,913.38 so far. When you take out the 40 and add that interest in, we had an ending balance of $609,917.09. That's going to give us an average yield on those funds for the month at 4.276%, which is pretty outstanding. If you go to the back page, that is the CD that's with First Savings Bank. That's strong 4%, and it does not mature until December 21st. So those funds are still drawing interest, and the checks are being cut on a quarterly basis to First Harrison Bank for deposit. So then if you look at the first page, first 2 pages, you've got the First Harrison Bank statement. The bottom of the first page, ending balance is $26,596.11 on that account. Second page, if you look down towards the bottom, bottom right on the checks cleared, you'll see there's a $25,000 check, which that was for the fairgrounds. The 27.3 was for the veterans for the remainder of the housing. So that's where those funds came out of the Indiana Trust and went into the checking, and the checks were written. That's really about it. There's not a whole lot of other information. far as the financial report.
Any questions? There's a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? So carried. Whole business report on continuing projects. I believe that at this point in time, we are current on all of our projects. All of our projects that we have given to are not complete, but they are in the work process. So we're making a little progress on the skate park. I'm not sure exactly where they're at with the fairgrounds and the bleachers. The veterans housing is coming right along. I drove through that the other day. That's coming along good, and they're expecting to have those things I think they have probably about half of them committed right now, the people moving in them. And I believe that's it for the projects we have. Charlie, did you have anything you want to say on the information on the township meeting?
Yeah, I do. The theme of the Township Association is going to be weathering the storm. I'm sure you can imagine where that's coming from. The 2026 Assembly is probably slated to take up the dissolution of Township trustees again, so that'll be a hot topic. There are also going to be classes on, there's a strong emphasis on ethics and ethical behavior, and that'll be a strong suggestion for all of us to attend. The two big topics are going to be the capital improvement program resolution, all that good stuff, how to do that. And then there's also going to be another thing on video recording, which we're kind of already on top of. I'll let you know that we're not staying in the Embassy Suites, which is where the ITA is headquartered. We're staying literally next door at the Holiday Inn Express, which is literally just, I'm going to say, what, Mark, 50 yards away.
Maybe just a few steps.
Yeah. The nice part about that was we were able to get that at $40 a room less than what we could at the Embassy Suite, so that was pretty nice as well. But all those rooms are 2 queen beds provided for everybody, and those rooms have been reserved, so we're in good shape to go to that.
Okay, our capital improvement plan. As we heard earlier in the meeting about the Friends of Harrison County Youth. We are also considering some other issues. Charles has been talking to Joe Shireman about some property and possibilities of building another restaurant downtown to facilitate the needs of the guests when they come to Harrison Township. He is currently waiting on some information back from Indianapolis in respect to floodplains and floodways and different areas that we might be able to have some waivers put in place to to be able to make some things happen. So that's one issue with that. Those issues were going to be in the area of the West Bridge. South of the West Bridge on the back, where property that the town owns behind community services building. And on the north side of the bridge, where the walking trail starts, or crosses the road right there. Still in consideration of possibly having one at Rice Island. We're kind of still up in the air about that, not knowing about the facilities there, the water and electric and different things going on there. Of course, that's another, the floodplain issue there as well. So those will be items that we're working on in the future.
Over to Allen a couple of weeks ago. And while the water coming in over there by the wall bridge, when you drive through the creek, that's where the water comes from. And that's where it come from, I guess, 50 years ago. Me and Kenny was looking like he just come right out the bathroom, the big 2-inch meter, or that bathroom, it's anywhere. They come right across, and the bathroom's over just be seasonal. And they was talking about putting some spigots in over there, and they was just trying to run fast. Strap it to the bridge.
Strap to the bridge, yeah.
And the only thing like me and Kenny was on that. Remember that's it. And you had the septic and the flood zone.
If you had that issue when you put the restaurant there by the farmer's market, that's not floodplain.
So we got city sewer right there.
Oh, there's not any down by the community services.
No,
We're
we're
talking
on Rice Island.
about
Or
Rice Island.
there's none there.
There's no water or electrical there.
No, which brings up. I mean, I was over there when I was 8, 9 years old. There was 2 bathrooms in that shelter.
Yes, there was.
And where to go?
Who used to own the island?
Schools.
They bought it from the school, according to,
Go way back.
way back.
Rice donated it to the schools.
Okay.
The schools has always owned it. They sold it to the
then.
to the union or whoever it
We
is.
thought that they had possession before, or ownership there before.
Yes.
But there was never a time, 12 years I was active in the shelter, that we could not drive across the creek, even though the creek was up.
Right.
And we did. That we
I mean, we need to bring this up to a town board meeting.
Well, we thought that might be
The sewers,
something to discuss about doing that.
between convenience. You can't run a sewer pipe across the creek unless you dig it out, put it underground, and put the creek in. You just can't run a pipe over across underneath the bridge like that. You can't do that. Not with sewers.
Can you run it overhead?
No, you don't want sewer line exposed at all.
Well, where was it going before?
Well, nobody knows. And there's a pipe sticking out of the wall about that far. And we've all played that creek, we hope that it did not go there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
So it makes you wonder back then, was there a septic?
Yeah, possible, yeah.
But, I was over there for probably about 15 years old, and I could not say one time did I ever see a septic tank truck come to the island.
Well, isn't there enough acreage there to have a lateral line?
Well, it's in a floodplain. Can you have lateral lines and a septic tank in a floodplain?
That's a Joe Sherman question, but I am finding that there's all sorts of, it depends on who you talk to, because, you can't build in a floodway, but there's an exception to that. And you can build, perhaps if at least 5%, if you can restrict your building area to 5% of the land you own, then it's possible to get an exception to build something in a floodway. That came out of the blue. So there's all sorts of, I think we just need to pursue this a little more and find out.
Keep getting a little more information.
Yeah, keep getting a little more information. I'd like to give you some general guidelines first. The State Board of Accounts is looking at the Township Fund and the Rainy Day Fund. Those are the only two funds that this mandate applies to for capital improvement that is potential levy. So in other words, of the 5 funds that we have, Township, Assistance, Rainy Day, Riverboat, and Payroll, of those 5 funds, the only 2 that the State Board of Accounts are going to be interested in are the Township Fund and the Rainy Day Fund. So they want to know what our balances in those 2 funds are, and if it's more than 1.5 times our annual operating budget, then that's subject to levy. So those 2 funds right now, we've got a little over $720,000 in. That's the bad news. The good news is our annual budget is about, in those 2 funds, is about 132,000, 52,000. And so 20% of that would be 229,000. So that means that we gotta either spend 491,000 or commit 491,000, or we'll have 30% of that donated back to the county's road and infrastructure fund. So if we have commitments for that 491,000, then we're not subject to levy. But if we don't have any, if we don't have a CIP, then all that 491,000 is subject to levy for the county. So that's what we're kind of looking for, is kind of a total of 500,000 that we need to kind of have an idea that we need to have a commitment for.
By the end of the year.
No, by the 1st of September. 1st of September, last of September.
And again, it's one of those things that is not necessarily, you have to write a check for that. You just have to have a plan in place. These are things you're considering to do.
And in fact, it's not a 1-year deal. This is what you're going to do over the next 3 years. So the CIP has to be a 3-year plan. And so we would just say how we're going to space that out, and how we're going to commit those funds and that sort of thing.
So you're talking about over here on the north side of the bridge.
North side of the Highway 62, just on the west end of the bridge.
Yeah, where the trail comes under up there,
Yeah.
the trail, the path.
That was one of the places that
And then back here,
was brought up to us.
and then back here behind it.
Is that somewhere back next to that station, pump station or whatever, at the Y, at the Creek Y?
Town of Corydon owns that area, and I think the Parks Department owns on the other side of the road. And Joe had talked with them, and they said they were amenable to discussions or whatever, so.
The one at the island is only going to serve the island.
Right.
Well, how did Dennis manhandle that when he got those RV parks down there? Source system, do you remember? I mean, those are all hooked up to the sewers. If I remember right, it was 100 of them or something that he asked the town, they asked the town to put in.
But well, I guess the first thing to do is come to town board and present it to them. If they don't want to go through the expense of full of it, getting sewer and water over there, then we just scratch it.
Yeah.
And move on to the next thing. That way we can eliminate one. I would like to think that they would go for it.
The one by the state park?
right side. But the only thing I'm gonna think is, you don't have concerns. And then shoot it out.
Yeah.
I'd say come to them first and see how quick we get eliminated or move on or what we're gonna do. I would say for the people in the town, I'd say the restroom over there. I mean, if you're over around the Capitol building, you might as well go to the farmer's market.
Right.
You're gonna be closer than going all the way across the bridge, all the way around the That restroom's gonna benefit the people on this end of Hazelwood Park, you can't get back up the hill and back. There's somebody taking off down that trail, oh, wait a minute, it's so bad. But I thought we should be looking for a restroom, I guess for them, but mainly I think for the people in town, the tourists that come to town, it ought to be convenient for them. And the farmer's market is ideal.
And we're just kind of limited on property.
That's,
Come up with some
that's the
other.
thing, I don't.
Well, the other thing's gonna be, over there, I'm sure you're looking at probably a block project that's gonna be 175 to 200,000. So there's half of your money right there.
Yeah, somebody, I don't.
No, even over there.
Yeah.
Because in the floodway, you're gonna have more expense than you do.
Well, anywhere we go, we're in floodline.
Yeah.
There's anywhere we go.
Yeah.
But it's a bad.
The big thing, the requirements, the restrictions on construction in a floodplain are very different from construction in a floodway. And so, that's what Joe was concerned about is, I asked him if we could take about 20,000 off of that last restroom he built for us and build another one over there. He was saying, Charlie, you're moving in the wrong way. You need to be thinking the other way, that it's gonna be a lot more
The farmer's
restrictions.
market. Floodplain, floodway.
Floodplain.
You know, to my corner, you're in a floodway.
In where?
Up to my corner, they've changed it in the last couple of years.
I think there was a section that was in the floodway because it was commented on. Originally, they wanted to actually close the part of the farmer's market and close it. And they ruled on it that they couldn't do that because private property was in the floodway, not only floodplain.
Well,
So they couldn't do it in close.
the fact that we have it built means it couldn't have been in the floodway. There is no building in the floodway.
It's a platform.
Huh?
It's just, they wanted to close a building for like a warehouse to store stuff in. And they said, no, they could not do that. They had to, because it was in the floodplain / floodway.
If you
I thought.
can build in a floodplain, you cannot build in a floodway.
You
And
can't close, you can.
period.
Yeah.
There's no building permit that can be granted in a floodway. But you can build in a floodplain. And so that's how we got the restroom built.
I was gonna say, I built my garage in 2000, doubled it in 2012.
Yeah, you can do that in a floodplain. You can't do it in a floodway. So that's what we're,
So, and then in relation to the restrooms, consider other projects, we may be out of money before we ever get there. You know?
Well, why don't we just sit down and use the little parking lot over there for now? Just give it to us.
What part of it?
One behind John D's old house. There's one.
The one where they're renovating that building on the corner.
Yeah, it's a parking lot on this side facing the town hall. You know where John D. and Pat lived in the house?
Yes.
Turn on the street right there. As soon as you go past their house on the right, there's a parking lot.
How big is it?
It runs all the way through. No, it don't run all the way through. It runs halfway through these two streets. It's a nice big parking lot.
It goes to town,
Down one, two, yeah.
would they let us put that there?
Yeah.
And
They were really
the
good.
reason I say that, I really want to shy away from building an asset in the township, such as buying it from them for $1. Or what, I would rather do a, what do you call it?
But
No, an agreement where we would build it, they would take care of it.
You try just like that one, yeah.
Yeah,
But okay, yes. I would say, because when we looked at this one time before,
where is it again?
right out in front of the town hall, or,
This is the town hall, right?
yeah, everybody turn around, see the building right there, right next door.
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's right there.
Yeah,
The same.
we looked at that before, didn't we?
Yeah, y'all looked at it before. Yeah. Cause you don't feel like a little playground or a little art benches or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we ought to approach on that, not that out.
They probably serve more people here.
Yeah.
A lot more. And that would be put it strategically.
And that would be, that's probably close enough that people are on the trail, they can, all they have to do is come across the bridge, and basically they're gonna be right there.
Yeah, and was then, because the kids go right in the evening after sporting events, they use all the sidewalks. They go to their home.
Okay, I think that's, I'll put that down for a couple 100,000 restroom. Okay, so you got 300,000 to go. I gotta get a memorandum together here, and I got 300 more thousand to come up with.
Mr. Fowler said that it was $30,000 for the net, is that times 3? Or is that $30,000 per park? Or
No,
to-
I think it's the whole thing.
That's that was 30,000 to insert where, I think what they're thinking of is from the building, concessions and all that, out to all of the fields.
All
So that
three,
if it
that's
comes
all
over
three of
there,
them?
it will block.
Cover that area, so anybody walking in that area will be covered.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've been down there and witnessed
Oh,
people
I
get
should
hit.
have been hit by.
I've been,
and.
And I know that up close to Indianapolis, there was a lawsuit from somebody that was walking through that got hit, and they won. And then they said because they didn't have that. But that, so they've recently changed all of that. But, I think that would be a extremely wise investment. I know they don't have the funds to do that. Because I've seen their books and they basically, they try to improve as much as they can, but there's no way they can come up with that kind of money to improve in 1 year. But I think it's badly needed. It's a lot more needed down there than the parking lot. Because people can park down there. But really the screening of the nets and the walkway around there is, because I've seen, we have a lot of wheelchairs down there. And those people, they have a hard time because the concrete that they just put up there, once they get to that, going all the way up to concessions, but then you're back to rock, going anywhere else. And it's next to impossible. I try to push a stroller. And that's hard. I can't imagine what a wheelchair is like.
270,000 to go.
Okay, so we're all for the safety of the net, though, I think that's an important thing for the net.
I mean, and I'm making fun of it, but all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put something together. We don't have to have this done, and I was wrong. We don't have to have this done until the end of September. So we're gonna have an August meeting where I'm gonna give you some stuff, and you can look at some more, add some, take away some, do whatever. But I just need to get something kind of solid, put a plan together.
Okay, I see that, Tom Fields is on the, agenda for our presentation. He had come to the commissioners meeting a couple of weeks ago, was that talking about something, but I forgot what he was asking.
I spoke with him earlier today. He didn't really have a program put together for presenting. He will have that done. He'll be presenting something to us in an August meeting.
So we don't even need to make a decision tonight about the
No.
270,000, we can wait and see what Tom says.
Well, we're not making a decision on any of these tonight. All we're doing is putting these on the list of considerations, and then you're gonna wallow in this at the August meeting, and then you're gonna get to wallow again in the September meeting, when we have to finalize it at the September meeting. But for now, we're just trying to get the framework of what this capital improvement program is gonna look like. So I'm just trying to get some black and white stuff down so that we can put a plan together.
And
So does the board have to have a master plan every year set in place to spend the money that?
You have to have a 3-year plan in September, which is updated every year.
And the money that's awarded to the trustees comes from riverboat money,
What?
the money that goes into our budget.
It comes from, there's about 8 or 10 different places. It comes from license plates, taxes, bank fees, and riverboat money, special assessments, lots of different places. But of our budget, about 65% comes from the county. The other 35% is money that we generate from our investments.
When you say the county, the commissioners discussed the other night, or with you, the council that was reading that off, about how much money they've taken from the riverboat, and they were saying how much each township would get. Is that the 65% you're referring to?
That's money that goes into the riverboat fund, and that's a fund that the state board of accounts doesn't look at. That's really your discretionary money. So you can kind of do whatever you want to with that. I mean, sort of, as long as you're benefiting the citizens of Harrison Township, you can do probably whatever you want to do with it. Okay, 270.
Okay,
So
Going
that's
once.
my fear is, yeah, I know there's no way around this, but if we start spending this money, that's gonna affect our interest that we're gonna gain, which is gonna be 35% of our income for the year.
You're exactly right.
So,
They're actually, what they're doing is if everything works like they want it to, things can keep going like they do, they're going to limit us to the assistance that we can get. Because they take all our money.
But the 500,000 we come up with here, remember, is a commitment for over a 3-year period. So you don't even have to spend it the first year. Yeah, so.
But if you don't spend it, you lose it.
No.
Because
Well, no, if we don't commit it, we lose it. If we commit it in their capital improvement plan, which is what we're gonna do, we're gonna come up with $500,000 worth.
But we can't change our mind and award it to
Oh,
someone
yeah.
else.
Oh, yeah.
We can still award it to
Oh,
someone else.
yeah. Yeah, you can
Somebody
change,
comes up with a
you
better
can
deal.
change the capital improvement plan. Yeah. So if there's, and we definitely found the need for that because we had a capital improvement plan, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And every one of the projects got canceled one way or another. So there's a mechanism for adjusting that plan. So it's nothing, it's nothing that you're gonna have to fund immediately and then the money's gone. It's more of a plan or an indication that you're gonna do something with money rather than, what the legislature's been, not happy with is the fact that there's some organizations that are holding large amounts of money And the counties are kind of struggling, so they're trying to fix that, and this was their attempt to do that. Any other ways to spend some money?
Well, we could propose that, depending on what the alternative school may need, that we could put that money in reserve for that project.
For what project?
Like learning center,
Oh, yeah.
Tom Fields.
Yeah.
or,
We can't,
we could, YMCA. I mean, there's, she don't pay into the commissioners meeting, she came to town board meeting, commissioners meeting, the council meeting the other night. And, I just feel with her taking over the, missionary position there, that they're probably going to come to the county and ask for some money to do another project, because they're really making a lot of changes down there. She made a comment, her director of aquatics, Moody, they have a podcast now every Friday that I watch. And, she said that it would cost $1 million to repair the leak, the crack in the pool. They don't have the money, it's not gonna be done for the therapeutic pool. For the way it stands, they don't plan to restore that. So, I mean, I'm not saying that we should put it toward that, but I think in doing away with that, I look for something because, something more than that. Maybe having the aquatics in a separate division there on the property with the boys and girls club and the
So that's a
So the
possibility.
YMCA would be a possibility that I would, like to see. Yeah, because
And that's
all-
Andrew, isn't it?
it's-
Andrew Love, isn't it?
I don't know, I just know the one guy, Moody,
I'll
and
see
then,
him
from the
when-
podcast,
I'll see you Tuesday. I'll ask you
and they do that every Friday, it's very interesting, have you watched that, Tom? Yeah.
I've seen it.
Okay, 270,000 to go,
Well, I thought the YMCA or the alternative school,
and lifelong learning, is that,
Yes.
will I do it?
I'm sorry, I said the
Okay.
alternative school, I meant the learning.
at this point, we can change it next week if we want to.
Yeah, got it,
We'll move forward from there.
got it.
Now, business, Eric's already been here, Tom will be here next month, so discussion on the pre-budget discussion.
Okay, everybody's got a proposed budget 2026 in your folder. And so need you to discuss what your druthers are on that budget. If you look at that, it's a 3-page, has everybody got that thing? Yeah. The last 3 columns are the ones that are particularly pertinent. So in the third column from the right is the 2025 budgeted amount. Those are the amounts that you budgeted for us to spend this calendar year. So that's what you budgeted last year. The second column, the 2025 expense year to date, that's what we have written checks for the first 6 months of the year. Now, and some of those look goofy because, well, for instance, we budgeted $1 zillion for cemeteries and we've only spent 3,000. Well, all our cemetery money is spent in the third quarter and partly in the fourth quarter and not in the first 2 quarters. So that's why some of those numbers are skewed, is because the way things are paid. And then the column 2026 proposed, that's just a wild guess at kind of what numbers could be. And those are the numbers that you need to look at closely and decide what you want to do with. As an example, I think the county wage increase being discussed is a 4% raise. Does anybody know? I know the growth quotient, the Indiana growth quotient for all funds is 4%. So I use that for salaries and then use that to total. So the salaries that are there that you see represent a 4% increase over the 2025 numbers. The other areas are kind of up and down based on what we've experienced. Now, Mark was wondering, we budgeted 4,000 for professional services. We've already spent 4,800 in the first 6 months, and I budgeted 4,000 for next year. Now, we overspent that line item because of the fire training tower. We had 8 zillion different contracts to write up and all that we had to have approved. And our attorney did all that. We won't have any of that next year, but I'm guessing we're gonna have other things, particularly if we get into some of this heavy expenditure.
Are we
stuff.
anticipating anything more the rest of this year in that category?
I don't know of anything from Burkhardt.
No, I think so.
So we're not too far over, even
Yeah.
with that.
And we can pull that out of another line item easy enough.
Right, so I mean, 4,000 for next year is probably pretty good.
And so, I think you just need, another area that looks weird is, in the assistance budget on the second page. We had housing at 20,000, we budgeted this year. Mark's already had requests for 13,600 for the first 6 months. My guess is that the rate we're going, that number's probably gonna be higher in the last 6 months than it is the first 6. So that means we're gonna overspend that budget. But if you look down there, utilities, we also budgeted 20,000. And we're not having anywhere near that expenditure. So that's another area where I think we can take funds and kind of match them up. So we boosted housing from 20,000 to 25,000, cut utilities a little bit. So the bottom line was, for the total budget, we came up with $158,486, and that's a 3.8% increase over last year's, which is just below the growth portion. And any one of those numbers is, if something looks out of line or something you want to see something change, well, we're more than happy to.
And always keep in mind that because it's budgeted, doesn't mean it has to be spent, but if we go over our budget, then we gotta make some special accommodations to get it,
Okay. And this is a preliminary. So, my wife gave me the sheet.
We'll talk about this tonight, we'll talk about it again, and then we'll finalize it in October.
That's what I was looking for. She gave it to me.
September.
And if you are.
Actually, I think it's August and September. So we have a public meeting in August, and then we have an approval in September, or maybe it's September and October. No, that's what it is. So it's a presentation in August, a public hearing in September, final approval in October. Yeah, so that's the order that has to be. We have to present the budget, then we have to give the public time to react to the budget, and see if they want to have input on it. And then we approve the budget in October.
And if we are under, and we have to ask for additional, who will go to the council?
If what now?
If we are under budget,
We
we
can
have to
do
ask
that
for
among
additional.
ourselves.
We do it amongst the board.
Only because we have that money there.
Okay, so we can take it from one fund and put it in another without all.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
If we can move things around in different funds, but if we run low in this fund and just have to do an additional appropriation, that everybody signs off on, that this is what we're doing.
okay, the public hearing will be on the 18th of September. And then the adoption meeting will be on the 16th of October. Those are the dates that we need to do.
What time?
At 7 o'clock. So, that's just, a budget to look at, see what you think about it. If there's areas that you'd like to see changed or whatever, now's the time. And then, you'll get those back to me, well, then we'll incorporate those for a presentation at the August meeting. We'll present those, and then we'll have a public hearing in September. That's all I have.
Any other questions on that? Roll over, look at it, see what you think, and if you feel that there's some changes that need to be made, give Charlie a holler, and you can incorporate that into another printout, and we'll look at it again.
The big one on this is, I guess, is how you all feel about your 4% rates. That's probably is kind of the alligator in the, or the elephant in the room.
Like I said last year, it's not gonna be no 30% raise.
No, and we tried to keep the whole budget under what the growth quotient was going to advertise at this year, so we're.
I didn't think it was gonna
You
be
okay?
I didn't think that I think, I thought the growth quotient would come out of 2.5 if it came up 4. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm gonna second that.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor? So carried. Adjourn.
8:21.
You just
It
want
was
to.
8:26 on our side. Pretty sure it's 5 minutes.